G'day there guys, how can I face my problems if the problem is my face? It's your main man Markee and welcome back to another episode of r/Am I the A-hole? Now if you love today's bloody good content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, and get ready for some bloody good stuff. Let's go. Posted by user Morgan Clint XXX. Titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to visit my brother and his newborn because of what he did 2 years ago? I, male 33, lost my wife 2 years ago. Right now, I'm a single dad of my 9-year-old son. My wife had cancer. It was too much for her to take, but she always said that our son was her strength. She was receiving treatment and spending time at home with our son. She always said that she wanted to spend as much time at home with our son as possible. She just knew. I took care of our son's needs, as well as our household. Her family was very supportive. Her sister helped by driving her to the hospital, but my family didn't do much. My brother, age 37, kept coming over and making comments about how our house was a mess and unhealthy for our son. Claimed that he was being neglected and asked what would happen to him after my wife passed away. He bluntly said that it was unfair for our son to live like that, and kept being negative and telling those things to my wife, making her feel bad and worried. I told him to stop coming over and just leave us alone. I was angry with him and I went low contact, and 1 month passed before my wife passed away. I had a visit from the Child Protective Services. My wife was home when they came. They did an interview with me and my son. I explained my wife's condition, and they talked to her sister and informed me that someone called them and filed a report about our situation and possible neglect in our house. Eventually, nothing came out of the report. My wife never stopped crying. She got very sick that night, and I'm sure she felt helpless as if she was a bad mother. I assured her that she was in fact stronger than most people and that the report was nothing, so she shouldn't have been worried. But she couldn't help it. My dad called me a week after, telling me to be careful, that my brother reported me to the CPS and was bragging about it, hoping they would take action. I was livid. I got into a huge argument with him and all who defended him, and I cut contact with him right then. After my wife's funeral, no one visited except for her sister. I talked to my family, but I haven't talked to my brother for 2 years after what he did and all the stress that he caused my wife. Last week, my mum called me to tell me my brother and his wife had a baby boy and wanted me to bring my son to visit him. I refused. She called me unreasonable and told me to let my son meet his cousin and uncle, to just forgive and forget. She kept pressuring me despite saying I don't want to. My dad himself said it's time for us to reconcile and get together as a family. I ended up yelling at them that I won't forget the scene my brother made before my wife passed away, and claiming that we were bad parents, knowing that we were struggling and doing all we can. They just kept insisting I visit and see how it goes, but I still refused. My brother didn't apologize. I only talked to my parents. This is his first baby with his wife. They had issues with miscarriages in the past. And OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. Perhaps I should let my son have a relationship with his cousin because they're innocent in this. I might be wrong for not getting over what he did, but I could still feel my wife's hurt that day. I guess there's an argument to be made that it could be a dick move for you not letting them have a relationship together as young kids. But your kids are 9 years apart, and I don't see much of a relationship happening, at least for the next few years, while the baby isn't able to actually form a relationship with your son. You were definitely still hurting from the incidents pre your wife's passing, during it, and post it. He could have chosen not to do any of that, yet he went right ahead and continued to pester you the entire time. You have absolutely no reason to facilitate a relationship with the kids, it'll just bring more pain. I don't see any value in that, but I can see why you would think you're an a-hole for it, because, hey, you know, it's great to have relationships between family. but this is a family you don't want to have a relationship, and I'd say you're justified in keeping them apart. And also keeping your distance from that family, not the a-hole. In the comments, Dumpster FFF says, not the a-hole. I'd let them all know you'll go no contact with them too if they keep this up. Last I checked, the sister was the only one actually helping and the only one to come to your wife's funeral. They all suck. Not disagreeing in general, but I think you misread about the funeral. I'm fairly sure what it means to say is that only the wife's sister visited after the funeral, although I think the wording is a little unclear. That's what I misunderstood too. His family did nothing to help before or after the funeral. He was already struggling to keep things together while his wife was dying, and his a-hole of a brother dropped CPS on him. Then after she died, they still didn't do crap to help him and their grandson. The more I think about it, I'm not quite sure what the OP has had to talk about with his parents for the past 2 years. The comment replying to that got removed by moderator, but the next one has a lot of rewards, so I have to read it, by Dark Twisted Lady. Emotionally immature people make terrible parents. Emotionally immature people are inherently selfish and entitled, who prioritize satisfying their own needs and feelings while disregarding the consequences for other people. They tend to view their family as extensions of themselves, and/or objects to do with as they please, rather than independent people with independent personalities, needs, and wants, caring more about their image and what other people think than what their children feel. This is why they play favorites with their children, making a golden child out of the one behaving most like themselves, while scapegoating the one telling the truth. Truths are not welcome. They disturb the selfish, entitled parents' ideas about the family image, and the truth hurts their feelings and are thus bad, as is the truth sayer. Entitled parents view love as a limited resource, so their children are often fighting against each other in order to be loved by the parents. Single children from such parents become super messed up from their parents' shifting view of them, as they must fulfill all of the roles in the abusive family. For people who grew up in a loving, caring family, surrounded by infinite love, and as subjects in their own life, the dynamics of abusive people are almost impossible to understand. A word of warning. Failing to establish healthy boundaries enforced with natural consequences for our demanding and difficult child means to raise a child that will become a selfish, entitled, emotionally immature adult who will abuse other people. As this pandemic has made abundantly clear to everybody, being selfish is evil. I'm going to leave that one there and look at Big Butt Effa, who says, not the a-hole. He tried to have your son removed from you while your wife was dying and bragged about it. He'd be dead to me. The class act would be to help clean up the house. This was despicable, not the a-hole. He has a kid now? Call CPS. Maybe I'm paranoid, but given the brother's wife's miscarriages and how he kept pressing and harassing OP, maybe he was hoping that OP would lose custody and the brother could have a free kid. Or maybe he was super bitter that someone he felt as undeserving had a kid and he didn't. Unforgivable. And Odd the Dog says, not the a-hole. Kinda hard to forgive people who haven't even apologized. Also, he didn't even call you himself to tell you he wanted you and your son to visit. He tagged your mom into it. You don't owe him any of your attention or time. Posted by user Not Surprised Sis 23498, titled, Am I the a-hole for saying I'm not surprised my sister is single and has trouble finding a good man? Don't get me wrong. Her list of must-haves in a partner aren't all outrageous or anything. They are, must have a good stable job, no kids, a degree, no drugs, not alcoholic, can pull his own weight financially speaking in the relationship, either owns or is working towards owning a house. Not unusual stuff. The thing is, she cannot bring very many of those to the table herself. She has a degree in Greek literature and isn't an alcoholic. She has 3 kids, which is why her demand for a man without kids strikes me as a what the F. Lives with mum, working as the front desk lady while working on a book, loves weed brownies. She does not have a min-max age requirement. She is 32, and I don't think it matters, but I have a feeling someone would ask if I didn't mention it. Now, it's not like I said it to her face. I was talking to mum on the phone. I guess sis has been more and more upset about dating prospects and doesn't understand why it's so hard. Never mind the pandemic going on, making it harder for everyone single to date right now. Mum was going on about how she, mum, doesn't understand how such a good gal like our sister is still single and having these problems. Even you have a boyfriend, and you're even more of a shut-in than I am. That rubbed me the wrong way, and frankly, I was sick of mum spending almost every call with me talking about my big sister instead of acting like she cares about what's going on in my life. So I laid it out. I told mum that sis being single didn't surprise me a single bit. She has demands that seem reasonable but cannot meet any of them herself. Why would she expect someone that meets her list to choose her when she can't meet her own standards over someone that they're more of a lifestyle match with? I used spicier language than that, but that's basically it. A few hours later, I got a text from my sister saying, "Thanks for being honest about how you really feel, C-word." Haven't heard from either of them since, and I'm not even sure where to go from here. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole. I might be the a-hole because I basically called my sister a failure in life who doesn't deserve a good man. Okay, here's one of the rare times we've found that OP giving the explanation for why they think they might be the a-hole has actually swayed my opinion here. To me, I was kind of on OP's side for this one. I was like, the intention there was that, hey, she wasn't meeting the standards, and that's all that OP meant by it. But now that they've pointed out, they called the sister a failure in life who doesn't deserve a good man. Just the failure in life part rubs me the wrong way. I agree with OP in the sense that the sister not meeting her own standards is a bit, what the hell's going on there? But calling the sister a failure in life, I don't agree with. I think the sister does deserve a good man, and I don't think because of her predisposed lifestyle or whatever she's doing with her life, that doesn't make her a failure in life. That just makes her someone that's not living up to the standards that she wants a guy to be living up to. That's not a failure, that's just a different way to live your life. The sister is obviously no amazing catch because she says, "Thanks for being honest about how you really feel, C-word," instead of taking this criticism about her lifestyle and changing for the better. There's obviously some bad blood still going on at the age of 32. Thought we might move on from these kind of little tiffs and fights we have in between family at this age, but apparently not, and the mum seems to be enabling it from both sides. That's a lot of whataboutisms I'm throwing about here, but seems like the case to me. I'm gonna go with everyone sucks here. Finch Dad says, "Probably everyone sucks here. You conveniently left out your spicier language. This sounds like typical family bickering, competition, and infighting, and the fact that your mother is involved the way she is, even you have a boyfriend, indicates that all members of your family might suck. You're entitled to defend yourself, but don't try and whitewash your role in the situation." But it was her mother who called her a shut-in, not the sister in question. It was uncalled for. Right, which is why everyone, from spicy language OP to denigrating mother to you're an C-word sister, sucks. Embarrassed Bridge 8 says, "Everyone sucks here. I don't think her standards are actually unreasonable. If I had 3 kids, I'd probably prefer to find a man without children so my kids could avoid step-siblings, and I also would definitely not ever want more than 3 kids in one household. Your mum sucks for ratting on you. I assume that's how your sister heard. Also, front desk lady, at least respect people with their job title. Prefer what you want. She shouldn't be shocked her kids are baggage someone without kids would want to avoid. Obviously, the majority of people without kids will prefer those without kids." It didn't sound like she was to me. I thought the sister was upset at being single, and it was the mother who was like, oh my god, why? Yeah, fair point. We don't know the full conversation between them. It's hard to judge, isn't it? If sister is being a raging hypocrite, then that would change my judgment for sure. The hard part is that from the post, the sister isn't being a raging hypocrite to OP. From what we understand, she's speaking to her mum about her problems, it's just super hard to say. And Mozzie6269 says, don't think this is a question. I think you're exaggerating some details and fabricating some stuff, but overall not the a-hole. OP is the a-hole for dragging someone who wasn't even involved in the conversation and going all shocked Pikachu when the person she crap-talked behind their back found out and called OP out on it. Her mum is also an a-hole because she insulted OP. OP should have stopped the conversation with her mother, not attack a person who wasn't even on the phone with her. This is a hard one for me. I'm still going to stick with my judgments, but it feels like we need more information to get a better, understanding of this story. I don't think we're going to get it, and I think that it's just, as people said, infighting when there shouldn't be infighting. Do you guys have to face similar situations like this? Do you think that the mother should have ratted OP out to the sister? Because I think that's a bit of a dog act from the mum to be like, oh, this is what your sister's saying about you. Are we not allowed to criticize our own family members without the person we're trying to vent with spreading that to the person we're talking about? Obviously, we can keep those thoughts to ourselves, but sometimes help can come from figuring things out with another family member and working out a way to help others. Obviously, we don't know if the intention of OP in this situation was to help their sister. To me, it did kind of seem like she was attacking the sister, and that's wrong. So I'll leave it up to you guys. I'd love to know what you think in the comments. Posted by user Pristine Scarcity 412, titled, Am I the a-hole for not being nice to the people trying to force me to sell my home? A large company is trying to buy up all the houses in my area for a luxury resort with a golf field, pool, and other things. A few days ago, I got a knock on my door, and someone came over and she told me she was offering to buy my home, willing to give me 5% over market value. Their bullcrap market value is less than I bought it for. I politely said, no, I'm sorry, but I'm not interested at all in selling my house. Have a good day. She kept trying to sell the house, and I told her to have a good day. 3 days later, she came back with a new offer, now 7.5% over market value. I said the same thing. Please go away, I am not interested. The next day, someone else called me, and I just hung up on them. All of my neighbors have been getting the same thing. Some are deciding to sell, but most are refusing. That same lady comes over, and I was outside doing my yard maintenance and says, hello, good news, we have a better offer for you. 12% over market value. That's great, isn't it? Surely we can work something out. I then asked, do you have kids? A pet? She then responded back and said, I have a son and 2 cats. Why? I then said, how much for your son? I'll give you 15k for him, and 2k for both of your cats. She confusedly said, those aren't for sale. So I responded back, okay, a-hole, neither is my house. I hope you understand now. Get the hell off my property and never come back. You're not welcome here or anywhere in this neighborhood. She said, listen, I tried being nice to you. Your house will be sold, and we will try other legal means to get your house. I said, did you not understand what I said? Get the F off my property, you ugly, disgusting tramp. And then she left. I'm scared that this company is going to try to use Dominio Eminente to force me to sell my house. Personally, I think that you did the right thing in this situation. Being mean to people doesn't particularly make you an a-hole. She wouldn't leave you alone, you were being harassed, you're getting calls, everyone else is getting calls. I feel like that's a whirlwind enough of just nuisance and nonsense that you're more than welcome to throw out whatever you want to get her away. If they won't leave you alone, just escalate until they do. Sounds good to me. I'm gonna go with not the a-hole for this one. And in the comments, Winnery says, not the a-hole. I think it's time to speak with neighbours who don't wish to sell, then speak with a lawyer together. If this woman is threatening to take your home through eminent domain, then speaking to a legal expert is probably your best bet. This right here. The moment they started with the calls, she should have lawyered up. You can't afford to not lawyer up in these sort of cases, because that company has made it clear they'll do anything they can, and that woman's attitude towards OP in the end just proved that. Texas VDR says, not the a-hole. You're under no obligation to be polite to people who can't take no for an answer. But companies trying to take over property aren't known for being super nice themselves. So I'd ask an attorney for advice on how to protect yourself. Agreed. Other legal means could be a bluff, but better to talk to someone in law to protect yourself just in case. And Spindacinder says, not the a-hole. I also don't see how eminent domain applies. Eminent domain applies to that which is built for public use. A luxury resort is a private business. You might want to get the neighbors that are staying to start a letter-writing campaign. To Congress, the mayor, the judge that might oversee the eminent domain that may or may not happen. Nip it in the bud. If you show that you and others will fight tooth and nail from the start, they may see it as too costly a venture to move forward with. Also, maybe contact the media. Bad press won't be good for their resort. And OP replies, sometimes in my country, and others, they argue that a business will be public use in that it will create jobs, more tax revenue, and provide services for the community. I'm worried that they might do this. What country do you live in, OP? Dominio Eminente is Spanish, which narrows it down a little bit. Yep. Only a few rare places in the world that they speak Spanish. Should be really easy to figure it out by process of elimination now. But yeah, Thick Fennel 2 says, it's happened in the US before. A bunch of folks in Connecticut famously had their homes demolished to make way for a housing development to serve a Pfizer plant. The developer couldn't get financing in the end, so the development never even got built. But all the land had already been taken by that point. And Kubwis replies, yep. In my home state of Wisconsin, the doomed crappy deal our former governor made with a foreign company to bring jobs that never came led to people being forced out of their homes. Anyway, moving on, our next post is by user InsideBat2208, titled, Am I the a-hole for hiding my girlfriend's sentimental forks? My girlfriend, who I moved in with last year, received some cutlery when her auntie passed away the other year. It isn't particularly nice or valuable, but she likes it for sentimental reasons. I hate eating with these forks, as the tangs are too close together and it really minimizes the amount of food I can eat in one forkful. I began hiding the forks in my work van, one every 3 or 4 weeks until they were all hidden. I claimed ignorance, and that seemed to be going pretty well. Anyway, a couple of months passed by, with me enjoying having properly sized eating implements, when I gave her a lift in my van to work on the Monday. She opened the glove box and found all of the forks. She is quite upset due to the emotional nature of the forks, and also that I would be dishonest about something so small. The forks are back in their regular rotation now, and I can feel the resentment growing and growing whenever I fetch a properly sized fork to eat my dinner with, when she has knowingly set out a tiny fork to eat my dinner with. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for hiding my girlfriend's tiny forks? I think this one is pretty self-explanatory. There is no good reason for you to have been hiding the forks. You don't really give a good argument for why you're not the a-hole in this situation. They hold emotional value to her, you didn't apologize, you didn't try to come up with a counter-argument to her as to why this is affecting you so personally. You kind of just admitted that you sucked in this situation, and then you're still doubling down by intentionally going to grab bigger forks without making amends of this situation. This reads like you've already signed out of this relationship, and I question why you're still going on with all of this. You're continuously adding fuel to the fire by grabbing the fork knowing that it affects her. Why are you doing this? Why haven't you left yet? You're the a-hole. And in the comments, Millie30 says, what's up with all these recent stories of men who decide they don't like something their significant other is doing or has in the house, so they just decide on their own to get rid of it? Of course you're the a-hole. If you want a different fork, use your words to ask for one, or better yet, go get another one out of the drawer. Right? It's a case of I don't like it or them. I'm not man enough or mature enough to have a conversation about it. I am, however, petty, devious, and deceitful enough to steal something sentimental and lie about it. The forks are back in regular rotation, and girlfriend knowingly sets them out. I am so lazy and incompetent that I cannot get up and go get myself a shovel so I can enjoy my meal. You're the a-hole, you're the a-hole, and in case you didn't get it, you're the a-hole. Breathing Corpse 252 says, you're the a-hole. Okay, so let me do a quick count. Mason jar guy, drawings guy, prom photo guy, that one sucked. Pokemon plushie guy, yeah, that was bad. Skincare products guy, that was scum of the earth, that one. Tea kettle guy, yeah, that sucked. Salad dressing guy, oh no. What in the frick frack snickety snack is wrong with these men? I also can't get over the one where OP's fiance or something continuously adds salt to the meals and he just adds an insane amount. And OP made a crock pot of food and just, this guy dumped a crap ton of salt in the crock pot to the point where I don't think any normal person could even eat it. And he's like, ugh, why'd you throw my food out? What's the problem? You're a terrible person, OP. I hate you. Some of these stories are just so funny and stupid. I love it. Geeky Girl 81 says, the guy who hid the colourful socks he didn't want his girlfriend using, the girl who got rid of comic or education themed ties her primary school teacher boyfriend wore, that was so bad. The guy who went mad his kindergarten teacher's girlfriend wore her colourful themed dresses that she wore to work for dinner with his mom after work one night, and he found it embarrassing. Too many a-holes. And Lively Sally says, you're the a-hole, for stealing and lying and being ridiculously immature. You resent her for having to grab yourself a fork? Is compromise a foreign word for you? You could have avoided all of that by getting and eating with your own forks. This is what really blows my mind. Like he could have just walked over to the silverware drawer and exchanged forks, or told his girlfriend he preferred using a different fork. What is the steps in the thought process between, I don't like using these forks, and I'm hiding these forks so no one can use them? Guess this is just another one of many to add to the a-hole pile, but it's funny, and I hope that OP gets broke up with for that one because he sucks. Not much more to say. Hope you guys enjoyed. G'day there guys, and that's the end of today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed it and were entertained by today's bloody good content. As always, I want to do a quick shout out and a thank you to all my channel members and Patreon subscribers. Your beautiful faces and names will be up on screen right now. Haven't forgot about you guys, sorry I was taking a little break there. So yeah, if you see yourself, give yourself a pat on the back. If you want to be on this screen, there's links down to the description below where you can sign up and help support the channel and all future projects that I'm going to be doing on this one. With all that said, I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to. I'll see you in the next episode, and I do hope you enjoy it. Thank you.